There is one line from Dostoevsky that feels almost impossible to forget once you truly understand it. It comes from the Brothers Karamazov, and it begins with a warning. Above all, don't lie to yourself. At first, this sounds simple, almost too simple, because everyone knows lying is wrong. We are taught not to lie to our parents, not to lie to our friends, not to lie to the people who trust us. But Dostoevsky is talking about something deeper. He is not only warning us about lying to other people, he is warning us about the lie that happens inside a person, the quiet lie, the private lie, the lie no one else hears, the lie you repeat until it begins to sound like your own voice. In the Brothers Karamazov, this warning is spoken by the elder Zosima, and he says it to Fyodor Pavlovich Karamazov, a man who has almost turned himself into a performance. Fyodor Pavlovich is not simply dishonest, he is theatrical. He plays the fool. He exaggerates. He humiliates himself before others, then uses that humiliation as a kind of weapon. He behaves as if nothing is serious, as if everything is a joke, as if shame has no power over him. But this is exactly what makes him so disturbing. Because beneath the laughter, Dostoevsky shows us a man who has lost touch with his own soul. A man who lies so often, performs so often, excuses himself so often, that truth becomes uncomfortable to him. And this is what Zosima sees. He sees that the greatest danger is not that Fyodor Pavlovich lies to other people. The greatest danger is that he lies to himself. Because when a person lies to himself long enough, he does not simply hide from the truth, he loses the ability to recognize it. That is the frightening part. A normal lie still knows the truth exists. If I lie to you, I know what I am hiding. I know what really happened. I know where the truth is buried. But self-deception is different. Self-deception is when the lie becomes so familiar that you no longer experience it as a lie. You begin to call it your personality, your reason, your trauma, your standards, your independence, your love, your loyalty, your strength. And slowly, the lie stops feeling like something you are saying. It starts feeling like who you are. This is why Dostoevsky's warning is so dangerous, because the person who lies to himself is not only making one mistake, he is damaging the instrument through which he understands reality. He is breaking his own mirror. And once the mirror is broken, everything he sees becomes distorted. He can no longer look at his anger and call it anger, so he calls it honesty. He can no longer look at his jealousy and call it jealousy, so he calls it love. He can no longer look at his cowardice and call it cowardice, so he calls it patience. He can no longer look at his cruelty and call it cruelty, so he calls it justice. And this is how a person begins to disappear from himself, not all at once, but slowly. One excuse at a time, one avoided truth at a time. One I'm fine at a time, one I don't care at a time, one I had no choice at a time. Dostoevsky understood that people rarely lie to themselves for no reason. Most self-deception begins as protection. A person lies to himself because the truth is too painful to face. Maybe he does not want to admit that the relationship is over. Maybe he does not want to admit that he is jealous of someone he loves. Maybe he does not want to admit that his kindness is sometimes a way of being needed. Maybe he does not want to admit that his ambition is not confidence, but fear. Maybe he does not want to admit that he is not angry because he was betrayed, but because he was exposed. And so he creates a story where he is always reasonable, always misunderstood, always the victim, always the one who had no other choice. And at first, the story comforts him. It protects him from shame. It protects him from guilt. It protects him from seeing the parts of himself he does not want to see. But the price of that protection is truth. And the longer he keeps the lie alive, the more the lie begins to demand from him. Because every lie needs maintenance. You have to defend it, explain it, repeat it, build more lies around it, avoid people who question it, become angry when someone gets too close to it. This is why some people react so strongly when you tell them the truth. It is not always because they did not know. Sometimes it is because they knew too well, and they had spent years arranging their life so they would never have to say it out loud. This is what makes self-deception so exhausting. The person is not only living, he is managing a hidden story. He is protecting an image of himself, and the moment someone threatens that image, he feels attacked, not because the other person is cruel, but because the truth has touched a wound he has been hiding from. Dostoevsky's characters are full of this. People who are brilliant, but dishonest with themselves. People who speak beautifully, but cannot face what they really want. People who suffer, but secretly take pride in their suffering. People who say they want goodness, but cannot let go of resentment. People who demand love, but make themselves impossible to love. And this is why Dostoevsky feels so uncomfortable to read. Because he does not only show us evil people, he shows us people who are divided against themselves, people who want truth, but also fear truth, people who want to be seen, but only if they can control what is seen. And maybe that is what self-deception really is. It is the desire to be known without being exposed, to be loved without being honest, to be forgiven without confessing, to change without first admitting what is wrong. But life does not usually allow that, because whatever we refuse to face does not disappear. It returns in another form. The lie you tell yourself about not being hurt becomes bitterness. The lie you tell yourself about not needing anyone becomes loneliness. The lie you tell yourself about being over the past becomes repetition. The lie you tell yourself about being strong becomes emotional numbness. And the lie you tell yourself about being right can turn into a life where you never learn. This is why Zosima says that the man who lies to himself eventually loses respect for himself and for others, because respect requires truth. To respect yourself, you must be willing to see yourself clearly, not perfectly, not cruelly, but clearly. You must be able to say, that was my fault. That hurt me. I wanted something I was ashamed to want. I used pride to hide my fear. I called it love, but it was dependency. I called it loyalty, but it was fear of being alone. Without that honesty, love becomes impossible, because love cannot grow in a place where truth is forbidden. You cannot truly love someone while lying about what you feel. You cannot truly love yourself while refusing to know yourself. And you cannot truly be free while protecting a lie that controls your whole life. Maybe this is why Dostoevsky's warning still feels so personal, because most people are not destroyed by one great lie. They are slowly weakened by the small lies they tell themselves every day. I am happy. I am not afraid. I do not care. I have time. I am not becoming like the people who hurt me. I can stop whenever I want. It was not that bad. I am only doing this because I have to. And sometimes the most dangerous lie is not loud. It is calm. It sounds reasonable. It sounds mature. It sounds like explanation, but underneath it, something in you knows. Something in you has always known. That is the part Dostoevsky is speaking to, not the public self, not the image, not the personality you show the world, but the quiet place inside you where truth waits. the place you can avoid but never fully escape. And maybe the real question is not, have you ever lied to yourself? Everyone has. Maybe the real question is, what lie have you repeated so many times that you now call it your life? Because that is where self-deception becomes dangerous, not when you hide the truth from others, but when you can no longer find it within yourself. Dostoevsky does not give us this warning to shame us. He gives it because he understood that the soul cannot heal while it is lying. A person can survive without comfort. A person can survive without approval. A person can even survive humiliation, loneliness, and suffering. But a person cannot become whole while refusing the truth of what they are. So maybe the beginning is not dramatic. Maybe it is not a confession to the world. Maybe it is just one honest sentence spoken inwardly. I know what I'm doing. I know why this hurts. I know what I have been avoiding. I know this is not the truth. And that sentence may be painful, but it may also be the first moment of freedom. Because the truth does not always comfort you at first. Sometimes it wounds you, sometimes it embarrasses you, sometimes it takes away the story that helped you survive. But unlike the lie, the truth gives something back. It gives you yourself. And maybe that is what Dostoevsky wanted us to understand. The lie may protect you from pain, but it also separates you from your own soul. So above all, do not lie to yourself, because once the lie becomes your home, you may spend your whole life mistaking a prison for peace. And maybe that is why Dostoevsky's warning feels so uncomfortable, because the lie does not always look like a lie. Sometimes it looks like strength, sometimes it looks like peace, sometimes it looks like moving on. But somewhere inside, a quieter part of you knows when something is not true. And maybe the soul does not ask for perfection. Maybe it only asks that you stop betraying it with stories you no longer believe. So the question is not simply, have you lied to yourself? The deeper question is, what truth have you been avoiding because you know it would change everything? If this kind of reflection speaks to you, follow the Midnight Inquiry. Here we explore philosophy, literature, and the hidden questions that live inside the human soul.